Hello everybody, my name is Beetle Scout, and today I'm going to be talking about a serious topic about Fortnite. Now, I'm going to basically, in a way, review Fortnite, and not only in its current state, I will technically be reviewing it in all other versions. Though, if you want a review on Season 4, 3, 2, and 1, I'd recommend go watching Circle Toon's video. He did something very good on that. But I will also be doing a review of what I think about each season, and what the game was like each season, and like what I thought about each season. So yeah, today I am going to be reviewing Fortnite Battle Royale. Now, a lot of people may think that I'm talking about Save the World. A lot of people may think, oh, Save the World's more of a thing to review. But there is some things to review in relation to Battle Royale. I could review each season and what was good and what was bad and what happened in each of those seasons. I can say a lot of things about Battle Royale. And I can't stress this enough. In my opinion, you should not play Fortnite Battle Royale in its current state. Season 7 is not the worst season by any chance, but the worst season of players, because it's a cycle where each season a new weapon comes out that ruins the game more and more, and we'll be getting into that soon. But right now we will be doing Season 1 of Fortnite Battle Royale. Okay, now if I am going to be able to talk anything about Season 1, I sort of have to emphasize about how innovative the game was at this point. This in my opinion was one of the best seasons in the game. Not in terms of skins, in terms of gameplay, in terms of the map. All these things made it a really good Battle Royale game. We did still have good players back then, not as good as we do now, but we still did have good players. We had balanced weapons, sort of. We even had a loving community, a loving creator. Everything about Season 2 just screamed, we love this game. We had everything that we could have ever wanted for something like a Battle Royale game like this. Building was just an innovative thing. We had Builder Pro, we had good console players, amazing PC players. We had all these things. We also had a season shop, which in my opinion should be brung back for exclusive extra skins. But in my opinion, Season 1 is about, I'd say, the third best season in the game. Now, on to Season 2. I'm going to put this out here right now. Season 2 was the best season ever of Fortnite Battle Royale. Now, you may be thinking, Season 3 was a pretty good part of the development of the game. People liked it. It was pretty good. We had balances and everything. We even got the Chug Jug and so much more. Season 2 was such a good season because we had an amazing battle pass. We had amazing new items like the mini shields. The mini shields absolutely changed Fortnite and balanced out the availability of shield in every way, shape, or form. We had so many good things. We had a good map. This was the season Tilted Towers, or the map expansion, was added. We had such amazing things that came to Fortnite in that season, that it's the best season. It had everything that was balanced. It was all ironed out. Everything was fun. The only explosive weapons were the grenade launcher and the RPG. There was only the burst assault rifle, the SCAR, and the normal AR. There was a green and green. There was a grey and green pump, which was also in season 1, but I kind of forgot to mention that. That we also had the TAC SMG in green, blue, and purple. We also had the original uncommon, common, and rare OG SMG, the silenced SMG, and then we also had, I think we also had another SMG, but no, those were the SMGs. But in my opinion, that was all that we needed. Those were only guns. Oh, we also had the bolt, and I do believe the hunting rifle came out that season as well. But and we also had the semi-auto sniper, which came in rare, green, and purple, and the bolt, which I already mentioned, but I didn't mention its rarities, came in blue and purple and legendary. Those were the guns, in my opinion, those were the only guns that needed to be added to the game. Now I realize new guns needed to be brought into the game to make it so that people don't get bored, people don't move on, people like other games that are getting more updates. But in my opinion, they added guns that weren't meant to be there. They added guns eventually that weren't meant to be in the game. But that's season 2 for you. We're heading over to season 3, and then we'll see what my opinion was on that there. So, we're in season 3 territory, aren't we? I'm probably going to get a ton of hate for my opinion and what I think about this season of the game. But I am going to say that it was the 3rd best season of the game. Or did I say season 2 was? Or season 1? Okay, well season 1 was... Okay, so here what we have. Season 2 was the best season. Season 1 was the 2nd best season. And season 3 was the 3rd best season. Now, we have a absolutely meh battle pass, in my opinion, and in my opinion the best state of the game. Well, not the best state of the game. Oh yeah, the best state of the game. We also had nerfs to things that were plaguing the game, such as the double pump, which was extremely OP back in season 1. We had the end of the Christmas update. We had, I believe, the Chug Jug. Yeah, the Chug Jug did come out. I can't remember everything else that came out, but I will try and check later. But season 3 overall was, there's not a lot to talk about when I talk about season 3. It brought the infamous John Wick, Elite Agent. It also brought the battle pass was this forgettable because it was unfun. Well, the battle pass wasn't worth grinding. Other than John Wick, there was nothing else we really... Oh, there was Dark Voyager. We got the Moonwalker. We also got the terrible skin that I can't even remember the name of, and another skin that I can't remember. Maybe those are just all the skins, or maybe I'm just forgetting. But once again, there is nothing really to talk about with season 3. But oh ho ho, do we have something to talk about in the next season that we're talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, you're now going to be talking about season 4. This season was insane. Season 4. The most story-driven season so far. And I gotta say, this season was amazing. I call this the beginning of the story era of Fortnite, where everything is sort of based on a story now. We have the rocket, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. This was a more intricate version of Fortnite. A lot of players came to the game at this time, and we had a lot of new gameplay changes. We had the meteor crash into the Fortnite island, and something I forgot to mention was that there was actually a blue glowing substance in the sky that people were guessing, that people found out was a meteor and was guessing to hit Tilted Towers, but it actually hit Dusty Depot, the original Dusty Divot. But essentially what happened was it crashed into Dusty Depot, leaving this massive crater, and the Omega was collecting all of these these crystals, which would give you anti-gravity, and back in season 4 were being driven away to a mountaintop, which eventually led into the rocket event of season 4, the big send-off of the season. Now that was the story, but let's talk about the gameplay. Now, the gameplay of season 4 was amazing. It did what season 3 did right, and then some. It added a total of 4 items. I'm pretty sure it had more, but I can't really remember. It added the shopping cart, Julie's jetpack, and LMG. 3 of which were eventually vaulted, but 2 of which actually come back. The shopping cart was the response to fans begging for a type of, like, a new way of transportation in Fortnite, because it was normally just walking around. But eventually they added the shopping cart, which went a little bit faster than your normal speed. We had the Julie's dual pistols that were extremely fun to use, though were extremely powerful if used correctly. We had the jetpack, a limited time item which was eventually removed as it was actually leaked in season 3 but never saw the light of day. And then the LMG, which was eventually vaulted in, I believe, season 5. These 4 items essentially changed Fortnite. This season was my favorite season. Well, not my favorite season. I say season 2 was, but it's one of my favorite seasons. And it also added something that the fans have been wanting for so long. They added a more strategic version of the double pump. It was extremely slow and not recommended, as the pumps got a nerf, I do believe, eventually further into the season. The pumps eventually got a nerf, which made it so that they couldn't one-shot, and they did 80 to 85 damage on a bossy shot. Now, because of this nerf, the pump wasn't essentially use it to win. It was more of a strategy-based type thing, and it wasn't as good as season 2 nor season 3. Not season 3 nor season 2 and 1, but it was still an extremely good double pump, which in my opinion was the best version of it. Not in terms of like power, but in terms of balance. But little did the Fortnite community know, there was something rising up that has been in the work for so long. This will be the season that will forever haunt Fortnite players who ever played during this time. This season was by far the worst season in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how else to say this. It's time we check out the SMG era. of Fortnite Battle Royale. We are not going to go through everything that was added during the season. This season was the season that got me so angry about Epic Games themselves. This was the infamous SMG era, also commonly known as Season 5. Now, I am going to go out on a limb here and say Season 5 was the worst season in Fortnite. No season could even go past this. Not even Fortnitemares was as bad as this season got. This season had a plethora of glitches, bugs, constant patches that didn't even matter. It had, I think, a 15-hour downtime, and we also had 2 of the what I call spray guns, the P90 and the drum gun. Woo! Were those 2 guns a thing? I'm going to quickly explain what the story was. Okay, so the story is that at the end of Season 4, the rocket had cracked a hole in the sky, which in turn caused all these things from the real world to pop into Fortnite. This was where the Battle Pass took place, and this is where infamous Viking Village, so on and so forth, came out. I like the story of the season. Okay, this was the season that truly was trying to explain things with the loading screens. It was telling a story of Drift, Bright Bomber, and their crew of driving around the Fortnite island, seeing all these things. In season 4, a bunch of rifts popped up that were sucking items away. We lost the num sign, the tomato head, and the Durr Burger, which was one of the things that actually got zapped into real life and then came back. So what happened is, at the end of the season, a cube, not at the end of the season, but midway through the season, a cube was zapped out by the crack in the sky after it was getting closed. It got zapped by it zapped out a purple cube that, if shot, would send out a lightning bolt that would damage you, and you would take full damage. Get close enough to this cube, and you would actually gain shield. And then it started rolling around. Well, it rolls as much as a cube does, but it started moving around and eventually got to Loot Lake, where it melted into the cube. It melted into the lake, and all of a sudden, the entire lake just bursted purple. It was now bouncy. You could no longer shoot it. Lightning would no longer come through. Would no longer shock you. Would no longer gain shield. It was now bouncy, and it was more commonly known by the entire Fortnite community as Thanos Lake or Lean Lake if you're a loser. But that was basically it. That was Season 5 story. That was really what we had. More so, this is people were really excited for Season 5. And then I'm only gonna be talking about 2 guns that they added. I'm pretty sure that the revolver was vaulted during the season, and I didn't see why. I didn't see why they vaulted it, but whatever. We also got a thing called the drum gun. This was a 50-round SMG that did 52 damage on a headshot, and I think 25 on a body shot. This was extremely bad because it was able to hold R2. You were able to hold R2 at any direction that a player was in and kill them. This made the game unfun, unenjoyable, and nobody liked it. And then we got the P90. Nobody liked this gun either. It was to the point, it actually originally had 50 rounds and was nerfed because people were spraying it and using it as an AR. Season 4, which I forgot to explain, I'm pretty sure gave SMGs a buff, which they got a buff before the P90 came out, which got nerfed, and then all SMGs were nerfed. This leaves a problem in the Fortnite community. This shows how much Epic really ruined Season 5 with the gameplay. It added the spray meta. Pump and SMG was really strong during the season because you could just pump and then hold R2 with the drum gun or P90. Eventually the drum gun was loved and later removed in either before or after Season 5. No, not before Season 5, but a bit before Season 5 or after Season 5. But the P90 stayed in the game and was the only SMG from that era to stay in the same. Well, not stay the same, but really one that people actually hated a lot and wanted to be removed extremely bad. We also had game mode. We also had a game mode called the Getaway, which also introduced the first ever event skin. Well, not counting for OG the original 2017 Fortnitemares. It added the I can't even remember the name of the skin, but though it did add a skin that you could pick from heart, clubs, all that. They also added the Ace skin as a starter pack skin, and this game mode, I love this game mode. And I don't know if I said this already, but it added one of my favorite items in the game, which was the grappler, which was available in all game modes, but in the Getaway was only available through red supply drops that would drop. And in my opinion, this season was the worst season that actually had good parts in it. This season had amazing things. They had the grappler. It had the Getaway. It had so many good things. But then they added okay, so Fortnite was getting a lot of hate because of the double pump coming back, as it got buffed throughout Season 4 with the pull-out time with the pump getting buffed. The problem with this is, in order to remove that, they put in a little thing that nobody wanted and nobody likes: shotgun delay. This puts a 1 second delay, 1 or half a second delay on every gun. On every gun. Well, not every gun, every shotgun. You could shoot your pump, switch to your SMG, then switch back to your shotgun, and there would be a timer there that would prevent you from shooting your shotgun for a little bit. Now, for the double barrel, which was also, I'm pretty sure, introduced in this season, it has a 2 second shotgun delay, so you have to use it very carefully. And as it was used, because it only had 2 shots in it, you can only shoot 2 shots, but it did a high amount of damage from close range. This, in my opinion, was the dumbest idea for a shotgun I've ever heard of. So that was Season 5. Season 5 was a terrible season that actually had good bits in it. But the good bits weren't able to overshadow how terrible the additions were of Season 5. Now, we're going to be going through the latest full the latest season to be finished was Season 6. This was a roller coaster ride. We're on the final season that I'm probably going to be fully actually reviewing. Here we go, boys. Welcome to Season 6. This season was in my opinion, one of the most boring seasons in the game. This season didn't really change anything per se. The core gameplay of Fortnite was still in the game, except adding shadow cubes, which even then weren't that unique. I'm not gonna say everything that was added, removed, buffed, nerfed, but what I'm mainly gonna be talking about is the Fortnite update and what happened there. Now, in the introduction of Fortnite, we got a weapon and a skin. Now, the skin was basically the boy version of Calamity, and then the gun was a buffed revolver that was also nerfed at the same time, which in my opinion the OG revolver should have been kept in the game, and I think the 6 shooter should be vaulted and bring back the revolver instead. But in the fact that that Fortnite happened, a lot of Fortnite players stopped playing Fortnite during this, because Fortnite added zombies into the core gameplay, which would spawn even past third circle. People hated the zombies because they never ever stopped spawning. It would always spawn. It got people extremely frustrated, and people started to hate it. Now, the story of the game is basically the story of Season 6 is that Kevin the Cube that sunk into Loot Lake was actually on the bottom of Loot Lake and lifted the island up, leaving a sort of hole in the middle, and he was floating above Loot Lake, like with the tornado underneath him that would lift players up if they walked into it. He would go across the map, eventually fully power up, I guess, drop all the islands, go back to Loot Lake, and then break into 3 pieces, which kicked off Fortnite, which would spawn zombies around the area, and Calamity and all the Fortnite skins like fought off all the zombies and eventually beat Kevin, and they were taken to this sort of 3-dimensional, like, sort of infinite area where they were taken out by a butterfly, but with a rift shaped as a butterfly that flew onto their fingers, and all of them were teleported all the way onto back into the game, and the zombies no longer spawned. All of it stopped. We got aim leaked, and that was Season 6. Yeah, that was Season 6. I mean, core gameplay, Season 6 was, in my opinion, the most uninnovative season. Well, the second most, because of Season 1. But in my opinion, it just was there. I mean, it wasn't a bad season. It wasn't a good season. It was a decent season. I didn't hate it. I quite liked it, actually. And Fortnite was fun, but the zombies eventually started to ruin normal Fortnite when I didn't want to just deal with the zombies. They eventually added a squads game mode that made it so that no zombies would spawn, but the problem with that is that there was no solo or duos, it was only squads. So yeah. But Season 7 is going strong. For most, I guess. In my opinion, Season 7 is extremely unfun, unbalanced, plagued with glitches, absolutely, and I say this with 100% truth. Season 7 has been extremely underwhelming. We got the planes, which made so many challenges easier and moving around easy, but they were too powerful. Like, you can run into them, if you got run into, you take a ton of damage, launches you up in the air, and you can take fall damage from that. They have guns, which can laser you. They have experienced extreme amounts of nerfs, and all of this stuff. Now, I am forgetting to explain about the turret, which was released in Season 6. That garbage as well. No, didn't even bother to talk about that because it's terrible. But that's the state of the game. That's my opinion and what's been happening through all 7 of these seasons. Season 7 is bringing a lot of players new to the game, but still keeping what Season 5 and 6 did wrong and emphasizing on that with vehicles that plagued the game. The quad launcher was also added in Season 6, but I didn't even want to. No, Season 5 was added, and I didn't even want to talk about that. Because they're keeping all these weapons that nobody likes. The P90 is still in the game, although nerfed. A lot of things have changed in the game, but I don't think Season 7 is done enough to keep me still keep me in Fortnite.
How many shrimps do you have to eat before
you
you make your skin turn pink? Eat too much and you'll get sick. Shrimps are pretty sick.